Hello, everybody. It's Gary Stuckey with Real Music. Hope you're doing okay wherever you are today. I've got a great show for you, and maybe will make your day even better. Hope you're safe where you are and it's going well. But I've got McKenna Michels here today, singer songwriter, and she's got a brand new single called I Don't Know and a new EP coming out early next year called Revolution. We're going to discuss that EP and tell you some of the stories behind it. And she's been through a lot in her life, and she's an overcomer, and she's writing about it in her songs. So just maybe you can relate to some of those things and listen to the singles and compare and take notes and realize some things. I know I did talking to her, and also know this: she's a very snazzy dresser. So I hope you get to see the video of this interview. But she has gone from an opera singer at the Kennedy Center. That's right, and then she's got a comic book made for her. So we cover it all today, and I think you'll enjoy it. So here we go. Here she is. Here's McKenna Michels.
It's been good. Just busy. Got back from a Comic Con yesterday. That was really fun.
That's yeah. I was reading about that the comics. We're going to talk about that because I'm a big comic fan.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Here's that's so cool. Nice outfit, by the way.
Thank you very much.
That's you're into that retro. What is it? 1800s kind of a thing going on there, which
Yep,
I
most
love that.
definitely.
I love those years, the style from those
It's
years,
so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
right?
All the ball gowns and everything make me so
The
happy.
gowns and the guys wearing the hats with the got the little poofy you know, jackets and everything. I mean, just cool. I just like that. I like the history. I like all that stuff. Really cool stuff. All right, we'll get started. Uh, I feel underdressed. I need to wear like a tux or something.
No, you look perfect.
Okay, brand new single, right? Called "I Don't Know," but I tell you what, I do know. That's a good song, and it's a really you've got a very nice voice, powerful voice. Um, and just going over your background and reading some things about you, I guess a lot of the songs are kind of about what you've been through in your life or what you've experienced or maybe what you're thinking about. um but tell me about this new single, I Don't Know. It sounds like a relationship type song. It
Yeah.
sounds like something that everybody's been through, and sometimes I get like I'm a therapist on here, maybe we can do some therapy or something like that, help some people. I don't know. You never know. They might send us the money for the therapy session. Um,
I'm a
right.
big supporter of therapy. So
Therapy is good. Um, and speaking of that therapy, now if this song was about therapy, I mean, wh- how would you describe it as far as that goes? I mean, the song itself. I mean, you know, from what you've been through, what you've experienced. I know I guess it's based on the true story. So
yeah.
what is that story exactly?
So first of all, thank you for the compliments. It means a lot to me.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that song. It's one of my favorites from this upcoming EP. It's about basically 3 years ago when I was just finishing recording the Enlightenment album, which is my first full length album that I released. We went out to Los Angeles to record a music video for the leading single off of that album, Broken Like This. And I had just a relationship that was falling apart. And subsequently, as soon as I landed in LA, I never heard from him again. And that was really difficult because I had to still go and do my job, and I feel like there's a lot of people who are full-time artists or just like in general going through heartbreak of any kind or just any sort of situation that kind of leaves you shaken up and you still have to show up, put on a brave face and do what you got to do. So I did, and at the last thing that I had to do was a week later. It was a photo shoot, and at that photo shoot, I met somebody else that I just had this immediate connection with. We really liked each other. A little bit of flirting on set, which was for me like kind of like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I don't think, because I just got out of a relationship and it doesn't really feel right. And but also this guy was really cute and I really liked him a lot. Um, and we stayed up talking until about 4 in the morning, and then 2 weeks later, he's like, I would love to see you again in person because he lived in California. I lived in Texas. And since then we've been together,
Well,
which is
well,
cool.
isn't that, see, you've got the fairy tale dress and the whole, love story look, it just fits with that whole setting.
Thank
Um,
you.
well, talking about that though, I mean, when you go through a relationship, falls apart, and it's hurtful, you look at things differently, you know, um, how do you how do you move on from that point to a new one without all the overthinking? Are you an overthinker? Because I am. I'm just saying. Do
It
you, how do you
depends on what
how do
it's
you do
about.
that though? I mean, well, because a lot of times, when you've gone through a situation, regardless of what it is, you got all these things that you remember, and you go, "I'm not going to do that again."
Yeah.
So, how do you go to another point of a new relationship with those things going? Hey, and how do you look at things without being red flags? Sometimes pink flags look like red flag. I'm just saying
Yeah.
some things don't look right to you, but maybe that's just your overthinking. What do you think it is that gets you to that point where you can say, I can move on to something else?
So I think like because of what I've been through in my childhood and having this kind of reinforced perspective of, oh, you have to stick this out. You have to stick it out. You have to do everything you can before you give up on something. You can't walk away until you've tried every single thing. And I think I've done that in my relationships a lot of the time where maybe I should have left earlier. Maybe I should have given up on the relationship earlier. But I have this, and it's not a unique thing to me. I know a lot of people who have been through a childhood trauma or trauma of any kind that have that mentality of I can't leave because I was left type of thing. Like I can't do that to somebody else because I know what abandonment feels like. And so I think part of what comes with that though is when a relationship is nearing its end, you're processing that grief throughout those last couple months of the relationship already because you're trying everything you can to preserve that relationship and that connection, but it's not really working. It wasn't like a blindsided breakup. It was kind of like, okay, this hasn't been working for a few months
Yeah,
already. I'm trying everything I can. I want to talk to this guy. I'm in therapy, dealing with my own side of things. At some point, though, it's kind of like, okay, um, yeah, this is over. And I think I don't even think I cried. Like I loved that guy that I was with. That's not even what it's about. It was just kind of like I had already throughout the course of the relationship shed so many tears about the way the relationship was heading that it kind of by the time I met this other person, I wasn't over it. I definitely still had things that, were from that relationship that I was processing in this new relationship. And I think what's been so great is like my partner also has had those same things going on for himself. He's had tragedies of his own or trauma of his own that he's working through, but in a good way, those perspectives allow us patience for that other person to deal with what they need to deal with while also fostering a new connection. So
right.
I hope that answers your question.
That's good. That's a very good answer. You passed the test. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Hooray!
ding, ding, ding. um, and of course, that is something that people can relate to in a song. And your song is catching on. Everybody's loving it, like everywhere I've seen. Um, so it's got to be relatable. That's what it is. It's relatable. So people are going, you know, I mean, it's your voice, it's the music, it's great. It's the lyrics, of course, but it's the fact that you have a connection with people. And I find the more stuff you go through and the more real that you are, the more people can relate to it. And they go, she's not just singing, she's not lying. It's not a fairy tale, fantasy. This is her life and she's relating to me. So have people told you that this song has kind of helped them out because you kind of explained some things that kind of help you heal before the final blow of the downfall of everything. So you're preparing yourself. sounds like there's a preparation for all this. Did people tell you that and these songs are relatable in that way?
I've had, and I think that's what I and thank you for saying that because the what I pride myself in as a songwriter is I can't just write something if it's BS. The way I write, sometimes I won't write for 8 months because I have to feel it and it has to be real and it has to be about something that I've either been through or that I've seen someone else go through. But most of the time, it's from my own experiences. And I've been very fortunate to have amazing fans that are very open and honest with me, and we have a really great connection and relationship. And what keeps me going as a musician when things are really difficult for me is remembering that it's not about me. My career isn't about me. My career is about everyone else who needs these songs. You know, these songs are my own therapy. These are what I write to process my emotions and deal with my struggles with autism, being an autistic person, with dealing with an abusive situation in my childhood, and I've been fortunate enough that my fans trust me enough with their own stories to tell me what they've been through, to come up to me after a show and go, um, one example was there was a girl that is just a ray of light. Every time I've seen her, she is just a beautiful soul, so kind. And she came up and she's like, the first night that I saw you perform live, I was considering going home and taking my own life. And then you shared your story on stage. You sang these songs that were really real, and it stopped me from doing it. And
Wow.
those experiences, I'm like getting like all teary about it, but those experiences are the reason that I write because it's not just my own healing. It's about making people feel seen, making people feel heard and wanted, because this life experience can be so lonely sometimes. And the biggest thing, if I can do anything with my life and with my music, um, is definitely allowing people the space to heal and process their own wounds like they've given me the opportunity to do with mine.
Right. That's really good. And I believe we're all put on the earth for a purpose. We all have a reason to be here. And I do believe that, like you said, that with the abilities you have aren't wasted when you help somebody from, you know, doing something drastic, terrible, in their life. They got so much to live for. They
Yeah.
could be another you. They could be somebody out there pouring out their heart and making people smile and making people want to live. And that is what it's all about, I believe. I've said this a bunch of times on the show is that I think that when you have that ability to create music and sing to a bunch of people, the number one thing is reaching their heart. That to me, above everything, because when you change them for the better, you've accomplished something that's beyond belief. I mean, but that song, go like I said, really good song. And you've got a new EP coming out called Revolution, coming out what early next year, I think. So is that right? Um,
It'll be probably early
maybe
spring.
late. Okay. Um, so this is the EP. You had a full album a few years
Mhm.
ago. So why do you do an EP? Why don't you do another full album? How do you decide on that?
So very honestly, as an independent artist, there's been a shift in the music industry where pushing your music as a someone who's unsigned is difficult in a full 11 piece album or even more. And it's actually more beneficial to you to release them one at a time or in a smaller package. So that was kind of the biggest decision is the album did well. I have no complaints about how the album did, but I think that in order to build a following and a fan base, you have to catch the short attention span that things like TikTok and Reels and Shorts have all created.
Yeah,
Which I have no beef with short form content. I just think as a musician who writes story based music, it's difficult to get that message across in such a short amount of time. And so trying to prioritize each song as a single and push them for the maximum amount of time as I can. I felt like an EP was the best way to do that because then I have 5 solid songs to focus on and make sure that they get as much longevity as they deserve versus throwing out a full album and hoping, even with trying to push them, that people will listen to the whole thing. And it just felt like the strongest way to be able to get those full stories across was to do a shorter form um, EP. But there will probably be a second half to it with a different title, but it's basically like a part two of songs that I've been writing around this same time period and releasing those. It's just not first we're trying to see how this goes and release the songs one at a time. But that's really the primary reason. It's just the shift in the music industry.
Yeah. And I've heard that said a lot of times. And it makes a lot of sense. So you don't want to throw some out there and you're wasting opportunities because you're throwing out, it's like feeding somebody a buffet and they just ate a few minutes ago. Yeah. It's like you're wasting a lot of stuff that could be, but that's a good thing though. It is a different world. Singles are the thing and you try one, see what happens. If it's big, hey, see how it plays out, do another.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about the songwriting. Now, have you went back and listened to some of your older music and kind of seen where that's kind of progressed and changed, and how does that make you, how do you view that as far as an artist? You're changing and writing and songs.
I think that something my dad said to me a long time ago that I hold with me kind of all the time. Um, and like not in a shaming myself kind of way, but just in a like, oh, this is necessary. As he said, if you don't look back on who you were a year ago and feel a little bit embarrassed about who you used to be, then you haven't grown enough this year.
Yeah,
And I think about that a lot when it comes to my music in a good way, not in like a, oh, I used to suck kind of way, but in a like, oh, wow, I wrote this song when I was 19. I'm 25 now, and it feels easier. It feels more natural to me. I can think of melodies and hooks so much more fluidly than I used to be able to. And I have love for the songs that I've released in the past. I still sing them all the time and choose to sing them because they represent a part of me that I was or used to be. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing to have like registered growth of not only my songwriting abilities, but also who I am as a person and the way that I process the situations that I'm thrown at like through life. And that's just a
yeah.
part of growing up and maturing in general, but it's beautiful to be able to see that laid out on Spotify.
What's music is. I saw this recently. Music is like a time machine,
Yeah.
and you go back and you can listen to yourself and go, yeah, I can see how I've grown up in my feelings and beliefs and the way I say things and how people relate. And it happens when you get even older. You'll find that you've changed even more,
Yeah.
and the people around you have. And that's just how it is, though. Um, and so the new EP, are there songs similar to this one? What kind of songs are on there, and what's the feel like? Is there an overall kind of a flow going on there?
So I think what is the most interesting thing about this EP to me is that whereas I felt like in my past writings, I have written more from a past situation or who I used to be and reflecting on it. This EP is more centered around who I am in this current moment and what my current feelings are about situations versus reflecting on them. The overall theme, I think, is about dealing with relationships and also dealing with autism. I have 2 songs on there dealing with autism. One of them is called Queen of Venom. It's about masking. A very short explanation of masking would be uh, autistic people basically put on different personalities, faces, do certain things like I try very hard to maintain eye contact with people, even though it's extraordinarily uncomfortable for me. Or dressing a certain way or minding my stimming behaviors. I mess with my fingers and my hands and my hair and all these things all the time. But some people would look at that and go, what is wrong with that neurotic person? And that's unfortunate because a lot of people look at someone like me who I am able to speak and I am able to talk about my feelings and all of these things, even if it's not the most well-rounded way, and they go, oh, there's no way you're autistic, so I'm not going to like consider you autistic. And most of that comes from masking and being able to switch on who I think somebody wants me to be, or act in certain ways where they won't notice autistic traits of mine. So that song is about basically telling that masked persona to go away and allow me to be the most authentic version of myself without anxiety, without barriers, because masking causes a lot of anxiety for people. And they've done studies to show that long-term masking in undiagnosed autistic individuals or late diagnosed autistic individuals can lead to physical health problems because of the anxiety that they're causing themselves. Another song, Never Satisfied, is also about dealing with autism, what it's like to process having to mask or get up out of my bed and go into society, which is sometimes really difficult. And not based on depression, just based off of, oh, I have to be in the grocery store where the lights are super bright today and there's a lot of people and screaming babies, and I don't want to go to the grocery store, but if I don't go to the grocery store, then I won't be able to eat. And I don't have the money to have Uber Eats deliver me stuff, so I have to go by myself. But that takes a lot of energy. And so that song is kind of dealing with the insecurities and anxieties that come with that. Another song, No One Else, is about a situation that I went through a while ago where someone was in it was a relationship, but not like a romantic relationship. Someone was very selfish in that relationship, and I basically had to cut them out of my life because everything was about them and their feelings and what I could do for them, or if I could live my life the way that pleased them. And I wasn't okay with that. And I set a boundary for myself. But all of these things in this song were about processing those feelings, processing what I would have said to them if given the opportunity, and also given the courage to, because I was so afraid to let them down for so long that I couldn't ever really speak my mind because I wanted them to love me. I wanted them in my life, and it just wasn't possible. And so that song is talking very openly about confronting someone that you never got to confront. Um,
Wow.
and then the final song, Monster, was about basically dealing with anger towards somebody that you're watching make mistakes that you've made in the past. Um, Things that I've been through personally that I know the outcomes of. And they're just doing these things over and over again. And you're seeing these bits of things that they're doing that you hate about yourself or your past mistakes that you're going, just stop. Like, I know what you're going through. Let me help you. And they're like, no, I'm going to be
Yeah,
irritating. And so writing about watching that from an outside perspective, what that person's going through after dealing with it yourself.
that's really cool.
Thank you.
That that I mean, you know, and I'm sitting here thinking about it. And I don't think I've ever been officially diagnosed with ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I got it because I got a lot of issues. But you're talking about masking and anxiety. I've dealt with anxiety my whole life,
Yeah.
and for anybody that don't know, that's hell on earth. And when you're trying to go into a public place, or people think that, why can't you just be normal? Well, you can't help yourself. But
Yeah.
but what I do find very amazing is somebody like you, like what you're telling me about, autistic, um, and you're adapting your life the best way you can. So much so that people don't know you got it. And to
Yeah.
me, there's a lot of heroes in the world, but that to me, that's a big, that's a heroic thing to deal with that, to deal with all the stuff you've been through, to deal with what you're going through, to be presentable in a public way and musically, and you got this career and you're trying to, and you're not faking it, you're just trying to say, I can deal with this, I can make it. That's real. The songs bring that out. What I love about music and lyrics is the same thing I love about biographies. I always like to read biographies of people and find out what makes them tick, find out why, and you can go, this is why, and you can kind of diagnose, overthink and all this. But to me, that's the best songwriting though. When you're relating to people, experiences that you've been through, um, that I think you'll find that that's going to be very powerful in the future when you're doing more music. I think people are going to tell you that. I think they're going to say, "You helped me out a lot." Have there been some people though with autism and anxiety? I'm sure there have that say they probably ask you, "How do you handle it?" And they probably tell you some stories and say thank you, right?
Yeah, so my fan base is amazing at just being honest and vulnerable as well. And I've had, people come up to me and be like, I teach autistic kids and I'm going to show them your music as an example that they can do anything. Because a lot of autistic people are given this feeling that because they have autism, they can't do what everyone else can. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes that is the case. And that those people, are, it's good that they have people around them to be able to advocate for them and help them do those things. And it always breaks my heart when that's not the case. But someone that really changed me was there was a person who came up and basically said, I'm autistic. I've always felt like I'm not good enough or never going to be good enough. And then you talking about it so openly on stage made me feel like I could get there. And what I always tell people when they ask me, "Oh, how do you do it? How do you deal with it?" Blah blah blah. For me, it's one, I've been in therapy for like 8 years. So that's one thing. I find that's very important. And the most important thing that I always try to stress to people is yes, therapy is expensive, but there are options and it is really good to look into them because you never know what you haven't dealt with until you start going to therapy. Um, and then the second thing is learning to be comfortable with the fact that I'm not normal, because for so long, even just with anxiety or with ADHD or people with bipolar or with OCD, you're kind of in a lot of ways like stereotyped in media. Like media like The Good Doctor, for example, is really damaging to autistic people. Not to say
Yeah,
that there aren't autistic people who are like that, but it creates a persona for autistic people that, oh, we all have to be geniuses with photographic memories. And that's just not realistic. A lot of
right.
autistic people, especially female presenting autistic people, present very differently. And learning about those things and educating the public about those things is really good because I cannot tell you how many videos I've seen of women on TikTok who are autistic, have been diagnosed with autism, and then people in the comments will be like, "You're too pretty to be autistic. You're too well spoken to be autistic. You don't look weird enough to be autistic. Your interests aren't specific enough to be autistic." It's like, then why did a therapist diagnose them with autism?
Right. That's
So
correct.
that's why I talk about it and why I give people the advice to explore those things in therapy and also to they can talk to me, of course, because I'm not perfect and I deal with a lot of stuff all the time, but I'm definitely willing to be an ear for anybody that is going through disvalidation of their experience for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you can help people out always with your experiences. You know, and a lot of people look at people like that, they're weird. But I'll say I know who weird people are. People that like comic books. I'm a weirdo. Uh,
Yeah.
hey, they are a select type. It's like the Big Bang Theory nerds, that come and show, how you doing? I got every issue of Flash, Hey, but that's totally okay because since I was little, I've had comic books. I got a few thousand. So tell me, how did you get this comic book? How do you go from doing what you do, which is you've already accomplished all this? Oh, yeah, and by the way,
Oh my
you,
gosh.
let me throw this out there. You performed at the Kennedy Center
I did.
in
Yeah.
2017. That's beyond amazing.
Thank
So
you.
you're telling me all this stuff, and my eyes are getting big reading this stuff.
Oh
And then
my
you got
gosh.
a comic book. So what about that?
Oh, so did you say you have every issue of The Flash?
No, I was thinking if I did,
Oh,
no, I wish I did. I've got a lot. I probably got about 50 or so, I guess. I don't know.
I was gonna ask if you've heard my song Running because I literally wrote that song about the Flash.
That's cool.
So it's just, anyways,
That,
very clever
that's cool.
title, Running about the Flash.
Like Flash.
So when I was young, I mean, I've always been into superheroes and Doctor Who and all of these things, Star Wars. But
Yeah.
when I was about 13, one of the things that I did following my parents' divorce and like in the midst of a not ideal childhood situation, I would go to Comic Cons. Sometimes I would like sneak off to Comic Cons. I'd tell my mom that I was actually studying at a friend's house and I'd be going the weekend to go to Comic Con. But I
Close.
found there such a beautiful community of people. Um, and some of the most accepting and loving people that you'll ever meet. And they look at my weirdness and they don't judge me. I look at their weirdness and I don't judge them. And we have beautiful friendships because of it. And I wish more of the world was like that. And I started that really young. I've been a cosplayer now for over 10 years. Really passionate about it. I primarily do video game cosplays, but of course have a few like anime and superhero cosplays as well. But basically, when we were considering what to do for my branding, because I want everything that I do to be an authentic part of myself, including the fashion. No one's forcing me to dress like this. I begged to dress like this. I was like, no, no, no. If we're gonna do this, I am gonna be a flowy princess. It has to be. It has to be.
Yes.
Um, and so we were sitting there going, okay, what are authentic parts of myself that I would like to be tied to my music? And my manager came up with this amazing idea. He's like, what if we did a comic book? Because you love to cosplay, you love comics, you love superheroes. Like, what if we did that? And I was like, okay, but what would it be about? And he goes, you need to meet Michelle. And I'm like, okay, who's Michelle? Michelle is like 4'11", tiny, tiny, 26-year-old. She's the sweetest person that I've ever met in my entire life. She had a stroke when she was 5 weeks old, and she has cerebral palsy and epilepsy as a result of that stroke. And she was brave enough, and also a huge comic nerd, but brave enough to want to tell her story through this book. And so we wrote a story basically about in my own musical universe, I'm not a real person. I am a fictional character. From the very first music video to right now, I am not a real person in these music videos. Um, Michelle is the creator of my universe. And in real life, what she does is she draws to deal with her medical trauma and to give her an outlet for that negative energy that she has towards herself, towards her situation. And because of it, she is a very healthy, well-rounded individual and a really good person. And so the comic book basically centers around Michelle drawing my universe and putting my character, which is from her perspective, this strong individual that she wishes she could be, but in reality is what she is on the inside and just fails to realize about herself. So I'm basically a stand-in for her traits that she perceives as good about herself, but can't identify them within herself. And then I'm battling all of these um, demons that she creates that are stand-ins for what she's going through in real life.
Wow. That's really awesome stuff. That's you've got all these things. I'm like, man. I mean, it's just it sounds like you need to write a book about it.
Oh my
But
gosh. One
right,
day.
one day, right?
One day.
Um, I've got a niece that's got cerebral palsy, so I totally understand. And to overcome some things and I think that's what it's all about, is when you're whatever you're going through in your life that's traumatizing, whatever mental abilities that you have issues with that kind of affect your life. And everybody to a degree has something like that. Anxiety. Who don't have anxiety these days, right?
Yeah.
So to see somebody doing that for you, knowing she's been through a lot of stuff and she's doing that for you. And something tells me you're getting just as much out of it as she is, as far as just appreciating that fact that she's accomplishing all this stuff
Yeah.
and overcoming and learning to use her talents the best she can, and even go a step beyond. And through you, she's using that. That's I think you're going to encourage a lot of people that watch this interview because you can stay right here, or you can kind of go out and beyond and kind of do some stuff that a lot of people don't think they can do. I think that encouragement goes a long way, uh, and I think that's what you're doing. Um,
Thank you for that. That means a lot to me.
so tell me about your shows. You've been playing a lot of places, all over the place. Where all have you been? You've been everywhere, haven't you? Tell me about that.
Oh my gosh. So I've been lucky enough this past, it's been about a year now. I think the first full tour that I did was in November of last year. And basically, Lakeside Entertainment Group, they're amazing. We're working with them. So they do label services, but I'm not actually signed to a label. But they'll basically do things like help the songs get on radio, pitch for tours, help with finding the right people to do the right things, basically.
Right.
And they presented me an opportunity in November to open for Echosmith, which as soon as they told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been fans of this group for, I don't know, 10 years now. They're amazing and the sweetest people. And so I remember sitting there and going, oh, I really hope I get this. And they chose me. It was wonderful. Got to go over to Europe for the very first time. I had never been in my entire life.
Awesome.
And where did we go? I mean, I've been to, at this point, Ireland, Scotland, Austria, Germany, Norway, uh,
Wow.
the Czech Republic, the UK. I mean, so many amazing places that I never dreamed of being able to do. And because of that first tour with Echosmith and getting to watch them and learn from them, and subsequently with every artist that I've gotten to open for was the MC, the way he interacts with the crowd, the energy he has on stage. MA, similar stuff, but also her openness about her ADHD and the way that she deals with that and the songwriting that she does to write about that. And seeing her openness and expanding upon mine. And then recently, Andy, who is amazing and has such a beautiful relationship with her fans and getting to learn from each of these people on each of these different tours and becoming a better performer myself. But it's led to new opportunities. The Echosmith show led to Was the MC being open to having me open, and then both of those, same with MA, and then all three of those for Andy, and just having a history. And then also just the improvements on my end of my show, my sound, my songs. It's been really great, and has also recently led to more opportunities in my own hometown. I got back from this recent tour and had a couple of venues be like, "Hey, we'd love to have you play," which has been difficult because Austin, as everyone knows, I live in Austin. Everyone knows Austin is really competitive for live music
Mhm.
because there's a lot of musicians, there's a lot of hungry artists, and so finally getting that validation of, oh, we've seen your progress, we've seen the work you've been doing overseas, let's have you play here, has been really
Right.
cool. And I felt really, really lucky to do that. And I always love shows, especially to get to see fans, either people I have met or people I haven't met. So
Awesome. Yeah, Austin City Limits is a good venue to play, right?
I have never played at the Moody Center. I mean well, Moody Theater, I guess is the Austin City
Yeah.
Limits one. I've never played at Moody Theater. I really, really want to one day because what basically made me want to play that venue is watching a performance of Florence and the Machine. I think it was 2017, watching them play that stage, and I was like, one day I want to go up there and I want to own that stage.
I believe you will. There's a lot of artists that have done that, and yeah, you'd fit right in. Uh,
Thank you.
well, tell me about that, and I'm believing for you. I'm believing for you. Um, tell me about that, your future as far as and how do you get there? What you kind of building off of your success that you've had. What are the steps that you're taking to kind of climb into a certain level where you feel like you've reached another plateau?
I feel like as much as social media has helped artists grow, it also has created this disposability of artists where people have a song go viral and then people forget about them. And that's so unfortunate because a lot of these people are incredible artists.
Yes.
They're incredible writers, they're incredible performers, but the way that the industry is working is just pumping them out and pumping them out and just like, oh, okay, you're not releasing another hit single, then okay, bye. And so I and my manager believe very firmly in doing things the old way. I do social media. Of course, it is a necessary tool. It is the free and fast way to get traction behind your music. But I firmly believe in facilitating relationships with fans because at the end of the day, if you don't have people that really believe in you and your music, not just the one song that they heard on TikTok, but believe in you, what you're doing, what you're speaking about, you can't have a long career. And you know who's a great example of that right now is Chapel Roan. Chapel Roan had a very dedicated fan base for 10 years. And finally, she had that hit single that pushed her out, but she had this catalog that had been pumped up and fueled by these fans that really believe in her, her project, her creativity, her message, and all of these things. Um, and it's really inspiring to look at. And that's why I want to do it that way. Because one, I actually care about the people that are listening to my music. And I believe that all artists do to an extent, but I want those people to know, not think that they're special to me. And I think that will be the key to my success. So continuing to do that, continuing to talk to those people. I have group chats on Instagram for each country that I go to that I'll talk
Wow.
to them and see what they're doing. I'll wish them happy birthday if I know it's their birthday, if they've told me it's their birthday. You know, those things like showing them I care as much as they care about me. And I think that that is how my career will continue to grow is by giving back what people have given to me because they deserve it.
Yeah, that's right. And that community, that connection that you have, and everybody is together. They experience your music along with you and your success. They remember when you started. They're going to be there when you go up the ladder. They're going to be there when you get that award. And I'm just giving you a glimpse of the future. Just saying, when you win that award, right? I mean, but that you got to receive it first before you achieve it. And the best way to do that is having fans that believe in you. That's the wind in your sail. That is the gas in your car because they're going to be there and they're going to be the ones that get you to that point. Uh,
Yeah, most
but
definitely.
I do believe that you're going to be, not that you aren't already, but you're going to be going places and because you got some great music and having great music is one thing, but having relatable music that people can identify with and the fact that they know that you're going through stuff and you're winning, you know, what more do you want, right? So what's the future for you coming up in the near future? What's your goals and what you got in mind coming up in the near future? This year's almost up. Talking about the new EP coming out, Revolution in the spring, possibly. What's going on then? What you got going on?
So right now we're pitching for another European tour. We've talked extensively about it. We had a really great turnout of my fans this last time. And what I'm hoping for is maybe doing one more European tour in the spring with another artist as an opener, and then possibly in the fall, after the EP release, after the summer has passed, and pushing that music through the summer, being able to do my first headline tour. We're not sure yet, but really hoping, and I think it would be a lot of fun. And I do themed shows, so getting to make like a headline tour theme and have fans dress up because they go all out.
That's awesome.
But definitely that. I've been writing a lot. Maybe going to get back in the studio. I have two new music videos coming up with the release, so having those come out is going to be amazing. One of them for Monster, the one I was talking about watching somebody else go through something you've already been through and being angry about it, pretty much. Um, that one has already won 7 Best Music Video Awards at various film festivals internationally, and has been nominated for plenty more that haven't had their judgings come out yet. So I'm really excited about that. Um, in the meantime, I mean, I have a couple shows coming up in Austin, Texas. Got October 25th and November 23rd. Um, those will be great. You can check out my page and see where those are if you're in Austin, if you happen to be listening to this. And then November 29th in New York, I am opening for Andy there as well, following our European tour we just did together, which was amazing. So November 29th in New York, trying to set up another one for November 30th. That's kind of a maybe, not sure yet. And then taking space for myself for the holidays, which is very important as a creative, hustling all the time, making content, making songs, doing shows, but also fostering my own mental health for a week or two. It's very important.
Right.
So
Of course. That's right. And you're preparing for things to come and getting yourself in the right mode and mindset. Well, thank you for talking to me today. Been a great conversation, man. This is one of the best I've had, and but
thank
really,
you, Gary.
I've talked to a few people in my life, but really, I think you've got it all as far as your personality, the look, the fact that you care. You're not fake. I could tell. I could tell that instantly, and you are going to be awesome. You already are awesome, but you're going to be up here, and I'm looking forward to it. So all the best to you coming up in the future. Everybody go check out the new EP called Revolution. New single, I Don't Know. I do know that that's a great song, and you need to support this lady because she's awesome. And check her out all over social media. You know, all platforms, right?
All platforms, yes.
Awesome. So everybody needs to go check out and follow you and check out the videos and just be a part of that experience. And and we'll see what happens. I'm believing for big things. And just you don't have to mention me when you win the award. Just kind of look over here to the right or something. Kind
I'll
of
be like, that's
yeah,
Gary right there.
there's Gary. I, I told I told somebody recently. I said the guy sweeping the floor in the back. That'll be me. I got the floor. But thank you so much today for this conversation, and you're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome too. I appreciate you so much and everything that you do and open up on your platform. So thank you.
All righty. Well, you have a great day. Go out and do some great things. I know you will. I know you're not just going to sit around, are you? And
I
eat
have
bottom line.
therapy today.
What is it?
Therapy.
Oh, yeah. Well, therapy's good. Hey, this is therapy for me. But I do appreciate, like you're going to have people dressing like that every day now. I'm just saying. That's a good
God.
look.
I
I like that.
I hope I see more people walking around like this, and I'll just be like,
That's you. It's all you. It's all you. I love it. I really do. But thanks a lot for talking to me, and we'll do this again whenever things are falling together. We'll do it again. Okay.
I would love that so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. Well, you have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
There she is, McKenna Michels. Very talented lady. Check out her brand new single called I Don't Know. And you can watch the video over on YouTube. Check out our social media pages and our website for more information. She's got big things coming. Just saying. Look out for her. And until next time, everybody, always remember to keep the music real.